Welcome to a new GTK tutorial. Today we are going to move on and we are going to learn a new widget. And the new widget which I'm going to introduce you today is one of the most interesting complicate widgets which I found, and I'm not talking about hard coding it or something. It is about strange things which happens with this widget. The documentation does explain a part of it, why is the reason, which is the reason why this happens. I'm still not happy with this, but anyway, you will see. Okay, so the first thing first, I have a program here. I created a program, which means we have a window. I put a box inside it and a toolbar inside it. The window I created with a create with box, and of course then I create a toolbar. About the toolbar, I have another playlist if you want to learn more about the toolbar. Before you will learn about the toolbar button, you should check it first. And now let us see how the GTK toolbar button works. Its documentation says, short description, GTK tool button. It is a GTK tool item, which is a subclass that display buttons. In other words, let me see. GTK tool item subclass that display buttons. So in other words, GTK tool button are GTK tool items containing buttons. So use GTK tool button new to create a Okay, the label of the GTK button is by the property label widget label and stock ID. If label widget is not null, then the widget is used as the label. Otherwise, if the label is not null, that string is used as the label. Otherwise, if stock is label. Okay, the icon, the same story. Which, okay, let's say that the documentation is not that complicated, even if they did quite a little bit work here to make it complicated, but you will see why I hate this widget. I don't like it. Anyway, I'm going to create a GTK tool item. So GTK tool item, and I'm going to say tool button. Now let us create it. Create the tool button, and of course here I'm going to say tool, nope, not there, tool button, and let me point into this function which takes two arguments. Well, there is something very funny about it. If you pass the widget, you will have a problem, some problem with the function later. If you pass null here, then that other function works. The same thing goes for the label. It's very strange, but you will see. Anyway, I'm going to create one widget first. So let's say GTK widget icon, GTK image new from icon name. I'm going to take it, and the icon name which I'm going to use now, it will be audio headphones, if I'm right, I think yes, and the GTK icon size should be a button size. Okay, now we have the icon, and because we have the icon, now we can give it a name, and the name will be headphone. And the last thing which we need to call GTK toolbar insert, GTK toolbar, and we need to put the item, the tool button. I'm going to put it at position 0 because it is the first one. Now let me compile it and run it and see what happens. And at this point, as you can see, we have a button which has headphones, and its text also, its name called headphones. Now let us move on with the next function. The next function, it is called GTK Set Label, and I'm going to change the label. At this time, the first thing which we need a GTK button and then a name. Sets the label as the label used for the tool button. The label property only has effect if not overridden by a non-null label widget. Okay, we are not passing actually a label widget. So property, if both label widget and label property are null, the label is determined by the stock ID property. Okay, so somehow it is strange. So let's see how it's working. GTK ToolButton. We need to cast our ToolButton. And now the label name, this time I'm going to say phone. So now let me see if that made any changes. Until now everything was fine, isn't it? We have a phone with a headset icon, isn't it? Now watch the next function. The next function is very tricky. The next function after the set label, which I'm going to do, is the set icon name. Whoa, what's that? Set icon name says sets the icon for the tool button from a name template icon. So sets the docs for the GTK icon temp. For more details, the icon name property only has an effect if not overridden by non-null label widget, icon widget, and stock ID properties. Okay, if you understand something from here, then move on and be happy. If not, you are just the same like I am, whatever. So the button is a GTK tool button and the icon name is the name of the temp atom. In other words, now I'm going to call this function, which means the first one is the button and the second one is a name. A name is a name of the template icon. So basically what I'm going to do here, I'm going to copy this one right here from the label, and I'm going to say I need the phone icon to be set on the tool button instead of the headphones icon. Let's see. Bam, we have no icon. You see, it's not working. Okay, the documentation does explain something here. I have no idea how it is related with this problem, but one thing is for sure. I'm going to comment this part. I'm going to make a copy of this one just that you see later the difference. I'm going to comment this one as well, and instead of the icon I'm going to pass null. You see, just null. And now because we have null, I call the GTK tool button set icon name to put the phone icon on our GTK tool button, and now it's working fine. You see, everything works fine, but it doesn't work if you create a tool button with an icon, with a widget. If you put a widget inside, then this icon call is dead. Not just this icon, because the next function which I'm going to introduce you has the same problem as well. GTK tool button set use underline says if set an underline in the label property indicates that the next character should be used for the mnemonic character K in the overflow menu. If you remember, that means if you press Alt, then with the help of the first name of the label character, you can basically click the button, something like, you remember, you see. And it says here, for example, if the label property is open with the underscore in front of it and the use underline is true, the label on the tool button will be open and the item on the overflow menu will have an underline O. Okay, so before we move, you know what, I'm going to call this function just to be sure that you check this one. GTK tool button set use underline. Okay, so the first one will be the GTK tool button, and then we are going to set it to true. Okay, now because we've set because we set it to true, I'm going to put in front of the label a new like character, underscore. Now because we have this underscore here and because we set the use underline to true, now when we compile it and run it, okay, tool button true, what do we have? Yes, not double call. Okay, now when I compile it and run it, if I hit now Alt, it should print here under P our underline, but it's not working, you see. So this is the next problem which you get it. So what do we know until now? We know that if we create a button and we put some widget inside it, like me, I decide to put an icon, a GTK widget icon which I was creating with the GTK image, then this call has no effect. But if we pass null, everything works fine. The GTK Set Label indeed works, and we can set the label, but the label which we set with this function basically doesn't help us too much when we call the GTK toolbutton set underline to true. You see, it's not working, so we have now more than two problems. Whatever. Okay, so at this point I'm going to stop, and I'm going to show you how we can fix all these things in the next video. That being said, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends and neighbors, and until next time, see you guys.